Okay, great. So I thought I'd take a couple of minutes to give you a little bit of an idea of our history. So I am married. I'm 42 years old. I have two children. I have a daughter that is 6 and she is on the spectrum. I have a typical son that is, quote, tip-sib, I guess I'd call him, is 5 years old. And I thought it might be helpful as I start this channel to make one of my first videos about our journey. So I'll take the next couple of minutes, just kind of give you an idea of who we are and where we're at today. So Juliana was my first. I'm very excited to have her. I was probably like, I think 35 when I got pregnant with her. She was not an easy pregnancy. I had a lot of scares, spotting. I ended up having a blood clotting gene I didn't even know existed. Had to take shots in the stomach. It definitely wasn't a typical pregnancy or a typical first pregnancy by any means. When she was born, she was over 9 pounds. She was 9 pounds, 4 ounces, and she was absolutely perfect to me. She hit all of her milestones in the first year. She was hilarious. She was adorable. She was just perfect in my mind. In fact, her first word was map at 9 months old. She was obsessed with Dora, so that's where that came from. And then after about a year or so, I started to notice some changes in her. One was it seemed like her naturally cheery disposition changed to something kind of gray, cloudish. I wouldn't say it was completely dark, but it just seemed she seemed frustrated all the time and seemed angry. She did do some word approximations, but then all of a sudden she wasn't saying map anymore. She really wasn't saying mom or dad anymore. It kind of seemed like she was starting to speak less and lose the vocabulary or some semi-vocabulary that she had as the months went on. Then we started noticing some OCD-ish type tendencies. There would be knobs on a dining room china closet, and she'd just like to tap them. If you were on like a cobblestone brick walkway, she would stop and have to touch all the bricks. And then there was her toys. We had a couple of toy boxes set up in our living room. She would literally dump everything out and not really play with any of them, really just kind of take the toys and just twist them in her hands. So I was kind of in denial at the time. I didn't want to believe anything was wrong with my kid. My sister, who happened to be a BCBA by profession, had already kind of put the light nods that maybe something might be wrong, and I was ready to just basically, strangle her. What do you know? You're just being over analytical. You do this for a living. And then that summer, we'll probably say we're around 18 or 20 months old. Another family member came from out of town and made a comment about how she's so quiet and that she doesn't talk. So a week later, I finally caved. I called the county and asked for a evaluation, saying that, she has ants and they seem to think that she should be talking more, but I think she's perfect. I think I was kind of in denial at that point myself. I kind of felt like I was betraying her a little bit by worrying, because now I was maybe thinking something was wrong with her too. The county came in with a speech therapist and a psychologist. Both of them said she'd be too young for a diagnosis. I had no idea what they meant by that. I was not thinking anything like that, but that she needed special ed and speech and that she was definitely behind. Fast forward a couple of months. In the meantime, I'm pregnant. I'm very pregnant at this time. My son's due in about a month. While this is all going on, I'm trying to prepare for the birth of my second child, and here I am worried about the first. I'm angry. I am pissed off at God. I am just feeling rage to the world. And then, which really sucked, I guess, for my son, because I really couldn't enjoy him those first couple of months. I was just so obsessed with being in this dark space of what we were going on with Juliana. Then we went for her 2-year-old checkup. My son was born, went for a 2-year-old checkup. I felt there was no progress. I felt like she wasn't getting any better. In fact, she might even be getting a little bit worse. I asked the pediatrician, still in denial, like, she's fine, right? You don't see anything wrong with her, do you? And he was just kind of like, well, is she using 20 words of intent? And I'm like, no. And he's like, well, then she's definitely behind. And that was just kind of a gut punch to the stomach. I immediately called back in the psychologist, and then she was officially diagnosed moderate to severe autism. on the spectrum. I had a 1-month-old at the time. I was absolutely shattered. I did not know what I was going to do. But I remember it being just a really humbling, scary experience just to be in this potential world of the unknown, and all of these thoughts and dreams and things that I had hoped for her future were now just very grayed out. I didn't know what to expect or what her life would be like. One of the major thoughts that had come through my mind at that time was, am I gonna, if I die one day, is she gonna end up, who's gonna care for her? Could she even care for herself? Would it be the burden of her brother, if he's even healthy, to care for her? Or what if he's not? And now I'm gonna have 2 children with a developmental disability. What do I do? And I remember feeling this way probably for a couple of weeks. And then something snapped in me. So I am definitely not a person who could say I had the greatest childhood or the greatest life. I think I've been kicked in the face more than I'd like to admit. But if it's done anything for me, it's made me stronger, and it's made me able to be battle ready for when life can give you unexpected obstacles. And I really feel like, even though nobody wants this, and nobody should have to deal with this, it really put me in a position to set her up for success in the potential of her future. So I kind of just snapped out of this negative zone that I was in, and I said, you know what, I have to really focus on healing her as much as possible. I call it recovery. I know some people will get a little salty on that. Oh, you can't recover from autism. I don't necessarily think that she'll never not have it, but I'd like to think that she's recovered or healed enough that she could maybe have a typical life in society. And that's where my mind and my mindset was once I snapped out of my self-pity scenario. So I really boggled down. I got the maximum amount of hours that were possible. I looked up every type of treatment under the sun. I always tried to keep it with only study-based treatments. And I'd like to just kind of break that down, maybe in other videos, of all the different things that we did. But fast forward to today, she learned how to talk first by using sign language. In fact, I was so shocked at how smart she was. Once we had introduced sign language to her, she picked it up within a week and was using it to communicate. And then all of a sudden, slightly, that gray cloud personality that she had evolved into was starting to let sunshine come in, and she was changing in front of my eyes. Just being able to have the ability to communicate her wants brought her a lot of satisfaction. And our acknowledgement of what she was saying, I think, helped catapult her to the next step, which was starting to use sounds and eventually start talking. So she went from a nonverbal 2-year-old. In the most restrictive preschool environment, she was suggested for a 614. She spent about half a year there, started talking, then moved to a less restrictive environment at 1212. And then against advice, I ended up pulling her and putting her in a typical preschool, but with a one-on-one. And that was a little scary. And she at first wasn't sure what to do with it. It was a lot different. The demands were a lot harder, but the stimulation was so, I guess, rewarding for her. She ended up really excelling at that. I opted to hold her back instead of trying to put her into a kindergarten placement that may be not exactly suited for her. We were starting to see gains in a lot of different things, but wouldn't necessarily say she was ready for kindergarten, maybe when she would have been age appropriate for it. So we ended up putting her in a private school kindergarten with that one-on-one, and then as the year went on, just kind of slowly faded it out. So now, happy to report that we just started our first grade in a typical school. No one-on-one. She lost speech last year. She still has OT. We do ABA services at home. She gets we still do extensive hours, even though maybe some may feel that she's come a long way, and she definitely has. I still see, as her mom, a lot more goals that we need to work on. But it's amazing to me, looking back at our journey, how far she's come. And it was hard. It was hard on her. It was hard on us, hard on her brother. It was just a lot. And but we never gave up. And that was one of the things that I really wanted to bring to this message just to tell you that because I'd been through a lot of life challenges, a lot of struggles from childhood to adulthood, nothing was handed to me. And that gave me a lot of my go-to attitude, my strength, and my ability to be successful in business. And I just kind of applied all of that grit and that hard work and everything I had, and just obsessed about making my daughter well. And I think I'd be lying if I didn't take credit for that, because I feel like she definitely did a lot of work, but it was my obsession with making her as whole as possible that's gotten her here. And to my surprise, as we've met families going through this type of challenge, I assumed everyone was like me, and it's kind of surprising, but they're not. And it's not a judgment thing against them. It's not saying that I'm better than anybody else, but I just had tools that I was exposed to because I had no choice, and some of the negative experiences I've had in my past that others may not have. And those experiences, although, wouldn't want to relive them, definitely gave me the mindset to do what I needed to do to get her well. So I have actually started coaching parents locally for 4 years now, and have helped them to try and see their potential, and what the potential is for their child if they can work on themselves and their mindset. Really, the possibilities are endless. So that's why I'm creating this channel. I'm going to try and share as many tools as possible that I've done with current families that I work with and families I've worked in the past, and share them with you here, so that maybe if you're feeling like you're in this dark space and you can't get out of it, or you're feeling like, listen, I know if I could really get my shit together, I could probably, make my kid, heal and do things that I couldn't imagine, and you're stuck, I want to help you with that. So I'm going to try and use this channel to give you those resources that are innate in my being, but maybe we could help you to make it a part of yours. So please subscribe. Again, I'm going to try and keep this channel rolling with content at least once a week. I do have a blog. My website, I'm going to put a link in the description, is michellebrogers.com. The name of my channel is Champions for Our Children, so please subscribe. I also have an Instagram that I try and keep super active, and I'm going to post a link to this video there. I'll put everything below, but please subscribe to the blog, subscribe to my channel, and I am going to be coming out with a document that's going to be like the 5 things I did that catapulted our success for my child, that maybe you could use for your child. And I'll put a link to that, or I'll definitely post another video once that's available for download. But please follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, subscribe to this channel. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. You can reach out to me through the website. I am here to help you, and talk to you soon. Until next time. Bye-bye.